Welcome back to Newsmax Now. Hollywood star Gary Sinise is well known for his real-life role of helping veterans, first responders, and their families. Just this week, Robin Rand, the CEO of the Gary Sinise Foundation, surprised the actor with a heartfelt video featuring many of the people he's helped, as well as some big names in the government and a slew of A-list actors. Here's a short portion of that 3-minute clip.
Thank you, Gary Sinise.
Thank you.
You are the real deal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
From one grateful American to another.
I'm grateful for you.
We love you.
You're my hero.
You've changed people's lives in ways that I'm sure you will never know.
Obviously, I got to do a lot more to catch up to Gary Sinise. You're the man.
Thanks, Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan, a touching tribute to a man who's done so much to help others. Gary is also an author, and he has a new book out titled Greatful American, A Journey from Self to Service. Earlier today, I spoke with Gary about this book. Gary Sinise, thanks so much for joining us. Great to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, one of the things your foundation does is renovate the homes of wounded vets so they're smart homes. They can recover there and rehab actually where they live. Here's a quote from the wife of a Marine Sergeant, Doug Vitale, who lost both his legs in Afghanistan, talking about the gift they receive from the Gary Sinise Foundation. This is Alexis Vitale here saying, quote, "This is the biggest and greatest gift we have ever been given, and it is a gift to be able to live this way." Gary, what is it like to give someone the greatest and biggest gift they've ever received?
Well, it's very meaningful to be able to do something, to give something back to somebody who's given so much. That gives purpose and meaning and value to what we can do as citizens. I think everyone has the ability to take up some responsibility for supporting the men and women who sacrifice for us, and we can all do that. I'm doing it in the way that I think I can best serve and be useful here, using the public platform that I have as a movie and television personality and all that, and to do some good. And when I hear that it's made a difference in the lives of the men and women who serve our country, and it makes me feel very good to be able to do that.
I think you're being pretty humble here, but congratulations, of course, on the book. It's called Greatful American, A Journey from Self to Sacrifice. And one of my favorite things about the book was how much background you give on the formation of the character of Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump, of course, the iconic role that you played in that Academy Award-winning movie. I personally love reading about your brother-in-law, Mac Harris, being somewhat of the inspiration for Lieutenant Dan and the training that you actually did for the role. Quick question, though. Why did you think Lieutenant Dan needed a Southern accent?
I just decided to have him, he was written by Winston Groom, who wrote the movie Forrest Gump, or wrote the book Forrest Gump, and it was based on that. Lieutenant Dan was actually based on somebody that he actually knew in Vietnam. Winston is a Southerner, and I decided to have the character be someone who had gone to the Virginia Military Institute, much like my brother-in-law Mac went to West Point. And so I wanted him to be somebody who wanted a military career, somebody who went to an academy and then was an officer and saw himself moving through the ranks, and never thought about doing anything else other than military. And of course that gets taken away from him.
When did you realize that this would be such a life-changing role for you, that this is going to be so iconic as a character in a movie?
I didn't know any of that, obviously. I have Vietnam veterans, as I said, in my family, and on my wife's side of the family. And I began working with Vietnam veterans back in the early 80s, just supporting them in different ways. Because I had met the veterans of my wife's family, and they just kind of woke me up to the difficulties that they had and their fellow veterans had coming home from Vietnam, to a nation that had turned its back on them. That was a terrible period in our history. It was a really tough time for the Army and the armed forces, and it took a while for our country to rebound from that. It was probably under Ronald Reagan and his support of the military that the military started to rebuild itself in a way. But after Vietnam, it was a very difficult time, and I just felt a lot of compassion for our Vietnam veterans. So I started trying to help them and support them in the 80s. And then when the opportunity came along in the 90s to play a Vietnam veteran, I just jumped at the chance and was fortunate to get the part. And it turned out that the movie was
it's a great movie, and everybody
pretty big,
and everybody knows just how much you have done based on that role with the Gary Sinise Foundation moving forward. One of the other things that we love about you is Lieutenant Dan Band. You play a lot of events raising money for veterans, and of course the vets love to hear you play this music. What kind of thrill do you get out of that type of experience, rocking out there up on stage? I know you wanted to be a rock star as a young boy. Here you are doing that. In more ways than one, you're a rock star.
Well, I never thought a while ago that I would be playing music this much, but it really is. The music that I play is for other people. It's not how I make my living. I play for free, and I started doing that because I wanted to support the military and entertain them in the great tradition of Bob Hope and some of the other entertainers with the USO. And now we've played hundreds of concerts on military bases all around the world. They were counting the bases yesterday in my office, and I guess I've been to about 160 different bases around the world and played, over 400 something concerts. I'm actually at Nellis Air Force Base talking to you right now because I'm going to do a concert here tonight.
Oh, I wish we could be there. What do you open up with? What's the first number on the set list?
Tonight we're going to do an 80s tune by Christopher Cross called Ride Like the Wind.
Nice.
We're going to open with that. But we have a concert at Luke Air Force Base tomorrow, and then next week we're playing at Naval Air Station, Jacksonville, Florida, and Pensacola, Florida as well.
Well, I know all those troops will love to see that, and of course they love all the work you do for the vets. Not just your work, but also this book, A Greatful American, really reinstilling that sense of pride that Americans need to have in their jobs and everything else they do. Great to talk to you, Gary Sinise. Once again, the book is called Greatful American, A Journey from Self to Service. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, far-left Democrats are still being slammed for pushing Amazon out of New York City and all the jobs that would have come with it. We'll discuss that next. You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest-growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems, or go to NewsmaxTV.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.